Okay, so let's talk about how you're supposed to do this scale drawing of your self-assignment. I started off with here in the actual length column of this paper, where I've denoted that those are my X values. I have all these measurements that we took of ourselves many weeks ago in class, and then I saved them. You should have got those back in class. If you were absent or something, then you probably you don't have these measurements back, so you might have to retake them. So for height, remember we measured ourselves in centimeters. It's really important that you do this in centimeters. This assignment is way harder if you do it in inches. In centimeters from the floor to the top of your head, that's your height. Your face, that's like the height of your face, how tall it is. So up and down vertically from the bottom of your chin to the very top of your head in centimeters here. Then your torso, that's like from the top of your shoulder down to your waist, like where the top of your pants would be. That's this torso measurement. Across your back, that's like behind you, side to side, essentially like how wide is your body from like the back of one armpit to the back of the other armpit. And then the last one is your arm length, and we measured that from like where our shoulder met, like where our shoulder joint is, the top of our shoulder, down to the tips of our fingers. I actually don't have all these measurements for myself right now, and I don't have anyone here to help me measure real quick. So I know that my height is 172. I know that one. The rest of these I kind of guessed, so my drawing might turn out a little weird just because some of these are guesstimates. So here in the scaled lengths, which I denoted as a Y, I put 26 for my scaled height. Every single person is going to have a 26 in that box because we're all going to scale ourselves down so that we're 26 centimeters tall on the paper. And so the next thing I did after that, I've already made these marks, but I'll show you how I made them, is I wanted to measure out 26 centimeters vertically on the paper. And so I decided to put the 0 of the centimeter side of the ruler right where the grid lines sort of end and meet the blank space on this paper. And I made a little mark with my pencil. And then I went all the way down to the bottom of the paper and I marked where 26 centimeters was. It's just a little bit before the grid ends and then there's blank space on the paper again. So now I know that when I make my drawing, if I want to draw myself as 26 centimeters tall, I just put the top of my head right against that line and the bottom of my shoes right against that line. Don't use these little boxes as any sort of measurement guidance. They are not 1 centimeter each. They're not even like a quarter or a half centimeter. They're not useful at all for anything other than just helping you like keep things sort of straight and in line and like having something to help you like guide where to draw. I know that helps me because I'm the worst artist in the world. And so just having like little lines that help me guide where my pencil should go as I'm drawing things just helps me. But don't use them for any form of measurement. All right, so if I'm going to scale myself from being 172 centimeters tall to 26 centimeters tall, I need a scale factor. And we get that by doing our new or scaled length divided by our original or actual length or height, whatever we're working with. So I need to do 26 divided by 172. You're going to do a different division. You're going to do 26 divided by whatever your height is, 140 something, 150 something, 160 something probably. So I did it on the backside here. I wrote 26 divided by 172. And actually when I did it a moment ago, I made a mistake. I wrote 0.0151. It's not, it's 0.151. So this is a really small number because I need a small scale factor to shrink myself down from 172 to 26. You should also get a small number like this. You should get something like 0.16, maybe a little bit bigger than mine because you don't need such a small number to shrink yourself down because you're not as tall as me. Maybe you get 0.17 something, maybe you get 0.18, somewhere in that region, maybe 0.2. But if you don't get something that looks something like one of these numbers, if you get a whole number like 3 point something or 2 point something, you did something wrong. Maybe you divided backwards or something. Make sure you get a scale factor that looks something like this. I would like it if you went to 3 digits. So like for mine, when I actually do 26 divided by 172, I get 0.15116. I just decided to stop at the third digit. I wrote 0.151. That's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to write that number on the front side of the paper where it says my scale factor is 0.151. You should have something different there than mine though. Now, all I need to do to figure out how tall I should draw my face and how long I should draw my torso and how wide my body should be and how long my arms should be in my new drawing, I just have to take my original measurements and multiply by my scale factor. So I'm going to do that for each one of these. So my original face height was 22, and I multiply that by my scale factor, 0.151. Remember, you're using your scale factor, not mine. So I get 3.32. With the metric side of the ruler, obviously each whole number is a centimeter, and then each little line between is a decimal point. So like this would be 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. It's really hard to measure past one decimal point. Like I know I can find 3.3 centimeters on a ruler, but I couldn't find 3.32. Like that's so precise. That's beyond my capabilities of a human with this tool. So I'm just gonna write 3.3. And then I'll figure out what my torso length's supposed to be in the drawing. So I'll do my 68 times my scale factor, which is 0.151, and I get 10.26. I'm going to round that up. Since the 6 is above a 5, it rounds up to make this 2 a 3. So I'm going to go to 10.3. Then I'll do my across back measurement. So 41 times 0.151, 151, and I get 6.19. So the 9 is really close to being the next digit up, right? So I'm going to round this to 6.2. And then last one for my arms, there's 72 centimeters in real life. I multiply that by my scale factor and I get 10.87, so I'll round that up to 10. Oops, I don't know why I'm pressing that. I don't need to press that. It's just 10.9. So now I have all these scaled measurements that will help me draw. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my face, or my head. And I know that it's supposed to be 3.3 centimeters tall. And I know that I want the top of my head to be right at this line that I made earlier. So I'm going to put the 0 line of my ruler there. And then I'm going to measure down 3.3. Make another little line. And now I know that I just need, that's how tall my face is going to be. The only thing I care about when you're making this drawing is that like the face height is correct. If you want to make your face really skinny like this, and look like some sort of weird cartoon character or something, you can. If you want to try to draw it, I don't know, a little more realistic and try to give it like more of a realistic shape, you can. I don't know what I'm doing here. I am not your art teacher. I am your math teacher. So I know this is going to look terrible. Or, you know, maybe you want to make yourself an animal and, you know, give yourself antlers or something. Or maybe you want to be an alien. Like you can draw yourself as whatever weird thing you want, as long as it's to scale with your measurements here. So the way I've drawn this, my height is correct, right? Like the face height, the face length is right. And whatever I do about everything else, I don't know, let me give myself some weird eyes here, right? So now I'm starting to look sort of like a reindeer on accident. I don't even mean to do that. I don't know why it turned out that way. All right, so the next thing I should draw is a neck. Oh, you can't even see most of this on screen. You were missing a lot of that. Sorry, I'll try to keep the paper lower. So just to reiterate in case it was off the screen, the top of my head was here, that line I made earlier. I made a little mark at 3.3 because my face is 3.3. And then I just sort of freehand draw a face so that the top was here and the bottom was here. Next, I need a neck. We didn't do any neck measurements. I don't have a neck number to go by here, but we don't want to make a drawing without a neck. So I'm just going to sort of guess on the neck. And I'm allowed to draw it sort of freely however I want. So I don't know, I'm going to give this thing kind of a big, kind of wide neck. I don't know why, I just feel like it. All right, now let's say I decide that this is where my neck is going to stop, this point right here. Now, let me use my across the back measurement. This is what's going to tell me how wide to make my drawing. And it's 6.2. What you don't want to do is make the mistake that I've seen a lot of students make where they say, okay, well, here's the center. Let me go 6.2 centimeters out from the center and make a mark. And then I'll do 6.2 centimeters out the other way too and make a mark. Well, you just doubled it. Now you made yourself 12.4 centimeters wide and you're gonna look really ridiculous. So don't do that. You have to cut your measurement in half and put half of it on your right side and half of it on your left side. So let me do a little quick calculation. I'm supposed to be 6.2 centimeters wide in this drawing. 6.2 divided by 2, right? So I can have half of it on my left and half of it on my right, equals 3.1. So I'm gonna go 3.1 centimeters to the right from the center and 3.1 centimeters to the left. So I'll put my 0 of my ruler right in the middle of this area, and I'll make a little mark at 3.1 over here. Just a little, all I need is a little dot to sort of like tell myself where to draw to. And then what I'll do is I'll line the 3.1 up with that same center mark, and then I'll mark the 0 out here. And now I know, look, from mark to mark, it's 6.2, just like it was supposed to be. And now I know that that's about like where my shoulders should go out to. So I don't know, I'm gonna pretend I have these like big old buff shoulders just because I'm feeling weird. And so that's where my shoulders come out to apparently. So these drawings start to look really weird. It's almost part of the fun of the fact of how stupid these can start to look. All right, now let's see here. How about I do my arms next? So I know that we measured from about this same point right here when we started measuring the arms. So if I measure from this dot 10.9 centimeters out, that should be the tips of my fingers. So I'll put the 0 right there, and I don't know, I might have overestimated this arm length because that looks pretty long. Yeah, that's pretty long. Whatever, I will have super long arms in this drawing. So 10.9, 10.9. And then I can draw my arms however I want. I can pretend that I'm super buff and give myself arms that look like this. They're ridiculous. I don't know. Now they're kind of starting to look like chicken drum wings or something. And then little skinny forearms and some fingers. And the fingertips got to go right to that dot because that's where we measure to. And I don't know, now it's starting to look like a bird or something. I don't know. And so I'll do another one over here. There we go. I got my chicken drumstick arms. And then the next thing I gotta do is my torso. And based on my scaling here, my torso is supposed to be 10.3 centimeters. And remember, we measured that from the top of our shoulder blade. Oops, I'm actually looking at the inch side. And so I'm gonna mark off 10.3 from the top of my shoulder blade to, I guess that'd be about here. And so I know that this is where like my waistline will be. And so I'm gonna pretend like I have this super narrow waist that comes out like I'm super buff. And so there's my waist. And from here you can kind of finish it, because if this is your waist and maybe, I don't know, maybe you wear a little belt or something, whatever, but the rest of your length should be like some pants or whatever you want to wear, and then leave a little space down here for like your shoes and your feet to line up with this bottom mark that we made. And then there you go. And you have creative freedom over this. You can draw yourself all weird like I did. You can try to make it realistic. You can draw yourself as an anime character, whatever you like to do, as long as the few measurements that you're actually responsible for. If I were to check your drawing with a ruler and look like, oh, is this right? Is this right? As long as those things turn out right, then you'll be fine. And you're not being graded on your artistic ability. You're being graded on how much effort you put into the art of it, but it doesn't have to be a masterpiece. All right, that's it.